Yo, so basically starting at around age 19, I started to have some experiences that I really had never heard anyone articulate these types of experiences. I've had more of these experiences around 22, 23, but I've had some like ego death experiences. I've had experiences where I felt like extremely present. I've had an experience where I basically felt like I was in heaven. Everything was just like a complete flow. There was no resistance to anything. But the biggest crazy experiences that I've had have definitely been synchronicities, just meaningful coincidences. And I've had like a shit ton of these. And it's not just like confirmation bias. It's not just me in my mind doing it. I've had so many of these that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's like an intelligence behind the scene. Basically, I know for a fact that an intelligence exists, that God exists. And think what you want, but I'm just sharing my perspective. There's a higher intelligence does exist. For me, it's like a fact, basically. But once realizing this, and once like the biggest thing has been synchronicities, just like all these meaningful things happening, and you could tell it's not just my mind fucking with me. Like at first I thought it was, and I was like going crazy, but they've happened so many times. That's just God. But and then around age 21, 22, I started getting into Alan Watts, and Alan Watts introduced me to the idea that we are all God, that I am God and that you are God. And that made perfect sense once I started experiencing all these magical things. That's the word I like to use because it literally feels like I'm a fucking Jedi in Star Wars when I experience these things. And Alan Watts got me into the idea that we are all God. I am God, you are God, everyone and everything is God. It makes sense once you really start thinking about it. But like lots of people get it logically, but they don't start feeling it. They don't start experiencing it. And I've experienced like the magicalness. It's here in this reality. It's right here, right now. You don't need drugs. You don't need to fucking go to Peru and do ayahuasca. You don't need anything. You don't even need to realize you're God. It's right here. But you start thinking about this. I am God, you are God. Like, who says that? Like when I was thinking back the other day, growing up, I didn't hear anyone say that they thought that they were God. No one, not a single person. And the only person who really came out and said that they were God is Jesus. Basically the most influential person for sure the most influential person in human history, Jesus. He was the person who came out and he was like, hey, everyone, I realized I'm God. I realized I am one with the divine. I'm one with the Father. He realized that he was God. And Jesus' message was actually extremely misinterpreted. His message was not just that he was God, but that everyone else was God too. But we'll get into that in another video probably. But anyways, Jesus realized he was God, and he became the most influential person in the history of the earth. And what I think over the next 200 years, as people kind of awaken and become more intelligent and more information is widely spread and power dissipates because of technology, I think there's going to be a wide awakening of people realizing that they are God, that everyone is God. It's almost going to be like gay people coming out of the closet. Like right now, I think there's lots of people who know that they're God, but they're kind of sensitive about talking about it. I don't hear anyone like saying, yep, I'm God, It's like people who are spiritual. Like if you've watched my videos, I've talked about this a shit ton. People don't say, I'm God. That's not a thing people do. And I think in like 200 years, people are just going to be opening, it's going to be like gay people coming out of the closet. Be like, oh, by the way, I'm God. It's God coming out of the closet. But you see, all of that realization is like level 1. Let me explain to you level 2. So level 2 is, once you realize you're God, and some people realize they're God and they start becoming like judgmental. They're like, dude, everyone's fucking God, wake the fuck up. See, that's not effective. Because you know what level 2 is? Level 2 is realizing that if you're God and everyone is God, and that people don't realize that they're God, then that's supposed to happen. It's not a bad thing that they don't know that they're God. That's exactly what perfection is. It's exactly what God wants. It's exactly what you, I, everyone wants, is that person to not know that they're God. It's not like a good thing to know that you're God. You see? You don't need, everyone doesn't need to come out like level 1. But you see other people playing the game that they're not God, playing the game that they're just this human ego. And level 2 is being like, okay, we accept that. I'm going to do my thing, you'll do your thing. I'm not going to like try to convert everyone into realizing that they are God, right? Because you see everything the way it is as perfect. Everything is God. Like, that's just the way it is. So you're like, okay, I'm going to let these people be God. I'm going to do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. Maybe your thing is waking up and people making them realize that they're God. You know, maybe that's your thing. Go do that. But you release the judgment for people who don't realize they're God, because they're God too. They just don't know it yet. But that's the role they're playing right now. Like, them not knowing it is still God. That's still perfect. You see what I'm saying? I'm hoping that's connecting some dots in your head. Now, this is level 3. Level 3 is looking at all the suffering, pain, and just horrible shit in the world that's happening and saying that that is God too. And it's a little harder to come out and say that you're God when all this terrible shit is happening in the world, right? I think that's deep down why we're afraid to admit that we're God, because in one way it's like taking responsibility for all this shit happening in the world. And at that level 3 of realizing that you're God, what you do is you start to develop humbleness. You start to cultivate humbleness. Because you realize some people are in incredible pain right now. Some people are being raped, tortured, and at the same time, while that terrible shit is happening to them, that is also God. And I like Jesus, I think, was realizing this, and the thing that happened to him was he got crucified on the cross. He had an experience of that extreme pain and torture. Because I think once he's realized that he's Godhood, how could he say that he's God and not experience extreme pain and torture? So then that's the experience that came to him, you know? So maybe the fear of coming out as your God is that an experience like that will happen, you know? That's kind of my fear, is now that I've realized I'm God, maybe I've had a pretty good life, to be honest. I'm like experiencing magical things. I have tons of depressions and negative emotions, believe me. I'm probably more depressed and fucked up than you guys think. I just show my best self on camera. But that's kind of my fear, is that I'm going to have an experience of extreme pain and torture sometime in the future. It's scary as shit. And level 3 of realizing that you're God is humbleness. Is realizing that we're all in this together, and even the most horrible, painful shit, that's still God. And to let go, and to trust it. Kind of crazy video here, but hope you enjoyed this, and maybe think about humbleness and cultivate. Someone's suffering right now in the world, and it might be you. But no one likes arrogance. No one likes big egos. It's annoying as fuck. So if you have a big ego, shut the fuck up. Don't judge other people for having big egos. Maybe my ego was out in this video. Maybe that's what you'll think. But we're all in this together, and I don't really know what to say. Hope you got something out of this. Peace. Life is really fucking weird. You might have experience of extreme pain, suffering, and the most shittiest things imaginable, but in the end game of reality, there's a moment where everything is 100% love, good, yang, all the good stuff of life, and that moment makes everything worth it. And then the game repeats itself forever and ever, and that's what reality is. But the game